Hello and welcome to my channel. My name is Felix Igiebor. In my last video, I did say that I was going to be talking about the end time, doing a series of teachings on the end time. And this will be my first teaching in the series. And I've titled this first teaching, Daniel's Prophecy Part 1, The Rise of the Antichrist. The subject of the Antichrist is a very, very interesting subject, and Christians all over the world have been talking about the rise of the Antichrist, the coming of the Antichrist. Bible scholars have come up with a lot of teachings, and they have told us so many things concerning the Antichrist, how the Antichrist will take over the rulership of the world. But what we are looking at is what is going on in the world today. We are looking at it, juxtaposing that with Daniel's prophecy, and then trying to see how that will, the coming of the Antichrist, how it is playing out as of today. A lot of us know a lot of things concerning the Antichrist, and a lot of teachings have been going on out there concerning how the Antichrist will deploy the social media, deploy things like the currency, that's virtual currency, and all that. We understand a lot of these things, but then we are looking at it actually from what Daniel said, the things that Daniel said in the prophecy, and then how these things are playing out today. From all perspectives, we can see that Daniel's prophecy actually is already playing out. But how these things are playing out is the major issue that we are looking at in this teaching series. I'm looking at it from this very onset, from the book of Daniel, chapter 7. And in the book of Daniel, chapter 7, I'll be looking at it from verse 2 to 10. And I will read very, very quickly from here. Daniel spake, from verse 2. But Daniel spake and said, I saw in my vision by night, and behold, the four winds of the heavens strove upon the great sea. And four great beasts came up from the sea, diverse one from another. The first was like a lion, and had eagle's wings. I beheld till the wings thereof were plucked, and it was lifted up from the earth, and made to stand upon the feet as a man, and a man's heart was given to it. And behold, another beast, a second like unto a bear, and it raised up itself on one side, and it had three ribs in the mouth of it, between the teeth of it. And they said thus unto it, Arise, devour much flesh. After this I beheld, and lo, another like a leopard, which had upon the back of it four wings of a fowl. The beast had also four heads, and dominion was given to it. After this I saw in the night visions, and behold, the fourth beast, dreadful and terrible, and strong exceedingly, and he had great iron teeth, and it devoured and brake in pieces, and stamped the residue with the feet of it, and it was diverse one from all the beasts that were before it, and he had 10 horns. I considered the horns, that's in verse 8 now. And behold, there came up among them another little horn, before whom there were three of the first horns plucked up by the roots. And behold, in this horn were eyes like the eyes of man, and a mouth speaking great things. I beheld till the thrones were cast down, and the Ancient of Days did sit, whose garment was white as snow, and the hair of his head like the pure wool. His throne was like the fiery flame, and his wheels as burning fire. A fiery stream issued and came forth from before him. Thousands ministered to him, and 10,000 times 10,000 stood before him. The judgment was set, and the books were opened. From that very place I've read from verse 2 to 10 in Daniel chapter 7, we see the culmination of all the events that will happen before during the time of the Antichrist, or rather before the Antichrist eventually takes over. Now if you look at it from verse 2, also I'll be going to the book of Revelations chapter 13 from verse 1. But before I do that, let me explain from verse 2 what this coming out of the Antichrist is all about. Now, verse 2, Daniel spake and said, In my vision by night, and behold, the four winds of the heavens strove upon the great sea. And four great beasts came up from the sea, diverse one from another. Verse 4, the first was like a lion, and had eagle's wings. I beheld till the wings thereof were plucked, and it was lifted up from the earth, and made stand upon the feet as a man, and a man's heart was given to it. That's what I'm going to do in this very first part. I'm going to be talking about this very first beast, which is the lion. Now, if you are looking at the first beast, which is the lion, what is the Bible really, or rather, what is Daniel teaching us from this very place? What is he trying to say about the Antichrist from this place? Here he was telling us that the Antichrist is going to have the powers of a dictator. Now listen, this very first beast is the first system of government that actually took over the whole world. The first system of government is the system of the monarch. That's the monarchy, the monarchical system of government. And that's the system of kings ruling. And you know, all over the world, in Asia, America, Africa, everywhere, kings ruled before now. And these kings had the powers of a dictator, of dictators. They were all dictators. You know, whether they were kings, whether they were military rulers, they all were dictators. And then they had the powers of dictators. They dictated. Whatever they said was final. You know, a woman can be going along the street and the king will just say, oh, that woman, I like her. Oh, I want her to be married. Even though whether she's married or not, it doesn't matter. And the king will stamp his feet on the ground and say, oh, that woman, I want her. She's my wife from now. And the husband cannot. If the husband says anything, they can behead him. And or they throw him into the prison or kill him for the king's sake, because the king already said he wanted his wife. These are the powers of a dictator. And the lion is seen as a dictator. You know, is seen as a king. Why did Daniel teach us that this vision? Why did he talk about the lion being the first beast that came out of the sea? It's telling us that all over the world, the very beginning of the rulership of humanity started with the lion, or rather started with the monarchical system of government. And the lion, like I've said, is seen as a king. You know, even Jesus Christ himself is referred to as the lion of the tribe of Judah. He's telling you he's the leader, he's the king, he's the ruler, he's the overall boss over the tribe of Judah. Now, if in the book of, you see that in the book of Revelation chapter 5 verse 5. Also in the book of 1 Peter chapter 5 verse 8. You see the Bible talking about Satan as acting or being like a roaring lion. He's telling you that the lion is like a king. You know, he said, walking to and fro the earth, seeking whom he may devour. So the lion is taken in all cultures as the king of the animals. So when it says the lion, you know, metaphorically, Daniel is referring to the very first system of rulership in the world being the rule of the kings. And that is why all over the world, the kings had rulership. They ruled all over the world. The kings were in total control. And that is the first system. Now, the Antichrist coming is also going to act like a dictator. He's telling you, that's what Daniel was trying to drive at here, that the Antichrist will have the powers of a dictator. He will have the powers of a dictator. In verse 4 again, the first was like a lion and had eagle's wings. Why did he say the lion had eagle's wings? That lion had eagle's wings because he was going to fly all over the world. Because it was the rule, the kind of system that will take over the whole world. So the lion having that eagle's wings means it will fly all over the world, and that system of government, of rulership in the world will be accepted everywhere. Will be, you know, circulate all over the world. That's why he says he had eagle's wings. And he said, I beheld till the wings thereof were plucked off. No, that system was actually flying all over the world and everybody was accepting it. He says, until the wings were plucked off. What does it mean when he says the wings were plucked off? It means that system was disabled. And if you look at it truly today, the monarchical system of rulership, that is the kings, the rulership of kings, has been totally actually disabled. All over the world, kings are no longer, the monarchical system is no longer the reigning system of governance. All over the world, we are no longer talking of kings ruling like it used to be in the days of yore. Kings used to rule. Kings used to have the final say. Kings used to be dictators. But now, they are no longer having that same power. Now, if you look at it again, in that verse 4, I beheld till the wings thereof were plucked, and it was lifted up from the earth. That is telling you that the monarchical system was taken off. The kings no longer have that power they used to have. It was taken off. It was lifted up from the earth, and made stand upon the feet as a man. That power of a dictator, that power of a lion that the kings exercised has been taken away. All over the world today, kings now play ceremonial roles. They are no longer playing the roles of dictators. They don't have that power, they don't have that rulership, that power of a lion that they used to exercise. They no longer have that power. They are now playing ceremonial roles. Kings are now, he said, until it was lifted up from the earth and made stand upon the feet as a man. So instead of having the power, the heart of a lion, of just doing whatever they like, dictating as they liked, they now have they now stand as a man, and a man's heart was given it. You see, they now play ceremonial roles. That's a man's heart. They are no longer playing that heart, that part of it of a dictator, of just saying whatever they like, doing whatever they like, whatever they say is final and all that. It's all gone. So that is the lion, being taken away now, and then another system took over. And then we are going to look at it in verse 5, and then you say second beast. You will now see the second beast, but I'm not going to be talking on that today. That will be my second teaching. That will be in part 2. We'll look at the second system of government that also rose up in the world, and then we'll look at another third system that rose up in the world, and then we are going to see a combination of it all and how everything is playing out today. But I'm just going to say this in this first part, that Daniel was talking about the Antichrist coming. And here he was revealing to the church that the Antichrist, everything is going to look as if it's just ordinary. He's telling you that the Antichrist will come like a dictator. He will have the powers of a dictator. But not just the power of a dictator. He's not going to come as a king. He's going to come, when we look at the second beast and the third beast, and then the fourth beast, we'll be seeing how the Antichrist rule will eventually play out. But from what we have said today, I'm going to also now look at the book of Revelations chapter 13. Revelations chapter 13. I'm looking at it from verse 1. Revelations 13. I'm looking at it from verse 1. From verse number 1 says, "And I stood upon the sand of the sea." He's talking about the same prophecy like Daniel spoke about in Daniel chapter 7. He's talking about the same prophecy. He said, "And I stood upon the sand of the sea, and saw a beast rise up out of the sea, having 7 heads and 10 horns, and upon his horns 10 crowns, and upon his heads the name of blasphemy. And the beast which I saw was like unto a leopard, and his feet were as the feet of a bear, and his mouth as the mouth of a lion. And the dragon gave him his power, and his seat, and great authority." Now look at it in that place. In describing this same beast, because from Daniel chapter 7 I read, he talked of the beast, it's a first beast, second beast, third beast, and then the fourth beast is a combination of the first, second, and third beast. And here, instead of talking of the lion as the first beast in verse 2, he said, "And the beast which I saw was like unto a leopard." It started with leopard. Now, I've not spoken about the leopard because the leopard actually in Daniel chapter 7 is the third beast. The bear is the second beast. So I'm not going to tell you what the leopard is talking about, what the leopard means, and the spots on the body of the leopard. I will tell you, we'll look at all that, we'll go into all that teaching. But let me, first of all, make this very clear here. When the book of Revelation, when John the Beloved was talking about the same event here, he said, "And the beast which I saw was like unto a leopard." It started from the third beast. From the third beast. The meaning of that, I'll be going into that in later teachings. And his feet were as the feet of a bear. That's the second beast now. And his mouth as the mouth. So he started from the last beast, the third beast, to the second beast, and then to the first beast, which is a lion. And the mouth as. So he's telling you that this very, very beast that he's talking about now being humanized is going to have the mouth of a lion. Dictator is going to have the powers of a dictator. That is the monarchical system of government which the world started with. He's going to have the powers of a dictator. So that is what he's telling you here. That he has the mouth of a lion. And his mouth as the mouth of a lion. That is, he's going to have the powers of a dictator. And the dragon gave him his power. So here is actually referring to the Antichrist personified. Telling you that the whole 3 beasts will be combined in one. That is telling you that the three systems will be combined in one. Telling you that the powers of the three systems of government of this world will be combined in one, in the Antichrist. And those are the things we are going to be looking at. But because of time, what I'm going to do is I'm going to stop here. So in part 2, I will be concluding this part 1. In my next video, I'll be concluding this part 1 because actually I cannot exhaust the whole teaching in this part 1. So I'm going to continue with part 1 in part 2. When I go to part 2, when I go to the in my next video. So I want to thank you for watching. My name is once more is Felix Igiebor, and I'm a teacher, I'm a preacher of God's word, and I hope you join me next time as we continue in the teaching of the end times. I hope you have learned something today, and if you have any misgivings or misconceptions, I hope those are being cleared from your mind. We are going to have channel of interaction. I'm going to try to work on that so that we can interact. In case you have questions you want to ask, so that I can give you the opportunity to ask those questions, and then I can try to supply the answers according to the leading of the Spirit of God. So for today, I hope you have had a very good time, listening to me. Thank you very much. Hope to see you next time.